Welcome to the Leadership Question and Answer Series. I'm Gary Silverthorn. I'm your host, and each week I ask readers or people in my subscription groups or in my coaching groups to send questions in that they would like answered. So you can do that. Anybody can do that, and all you have to do is email me your question at garysilverthorn.com, or feel free to leave a question in the comments box on here on YouTube. Okay, so we'll kick this off with my first question. And the first question I received was, my leadership sucks. I can't stand working for them. How can I ask to move to another department? Well, that's not as easy as it sounds, and you can relate to this if you look at when you were a kid growing up. Your parents probably had you clean the house with them or clean your room, and you looked outside and you saw your neighbor buddies out playing and goofing off, and you automatically said, man, I wish I lived over there. I need to have their parents as my parents. And we all go through this. It's always the same. You're on a sports team and the other team is drinking soda pop and having a good time, joking around, and you're over there training, sweating, getting worn out, and everything else, and you automatically say, hey, I want to go over there. It looks a lot easier. Same thing, it goes in the military. I always bring up the military because it's so funny. It happens exactly the same way in the military. People want to change platoons or sections because they think it's better in another section. Well, that isn't always true. So when you have a team that you think your leadership is not doing things right, and they're not giving you the time of day, they're giving you hard stuff to do, other people are getting off earlier than you, you really need to break that down a little bit more, especially if it's only affecting you and your team, because 90% of the time, I'll say 95% of the time, it's not your leadership as much as it is you. There's something missing in you. You might not know the whole picture because your leadership doesn't tell you everything. They don't have to. You are hired to do a job, and you're supposed to do your job. As long as they're giving you the proper guidance for you to effectively complete your job, then all should be well. You're there to work. You're getting paid to work. You're not there to be in an easier section. You're not there to, smoke and joke or anything else. So when you look at that, your perception is different than their perspective. So you really need to take the time, get a piece of paper out, and throw your perception out the window for a while. And look at your perspective. Look at their perspective and how they're doing things. And look at the other team, because you don't have all the answers. You're just seeing stuff on the surface. So you need to write things down and look to see if you really have a legitimate reason that you should try to request a transfer to a different section, or, is the grass greener on the other side? Well, like I said, most of the time, it's you. I've been in that position where I have been infuriated with my leadership, and all I could see was red. It wouldn't matter if they gave me a $100 bill and said, go have fun. All I saw was red, and I wanted away from them so bad. And it wasn't them, it was me. And so you really have to evaluate yourself and see where you're at. And like I said, look at it from their perspective. Are you really doing your job effectively, or are they giving you more work because you need the work because you're not doing stuff during your pay period? So if you're paid to work for the day, 8 hours a day, and you're doing 4 hours worth of work, they might be piling on work. Your buddies over there that you see are having an easier time, they might have the same workload, but they're way more effective than you, and they complete their work early. So they have the opportunity to goof off. So I really want you to look at that and look at things not from your perception, but from your leader's perspective. Are you really performing the way you should? Are they really being that hard on you? You know, we all have a problem where we think that we do more than we actually do. It happens. It's everybody does it. I always think that I'm doing better. Sometimes I'm not. So you have to get in touch with reality. Like I said, look at their perspective, because I will tell you, if you reframe it in your mind and look at what value you are providing, you might find it pretty haunting to say, hey, I am not doing enough. And maybe I need to pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe I need to learn a little bit more. Maybe I need to ask more questions. So with the concept the grass is greener on the other side, it's going to happen. But I will tell you to slow your roll, sit down, write out some things, and look at what's going on. Because when you see things through your eyes and you use your perception, you're only getting about 20, maybe 30% of the full view. You don't know what your leaders are thinking. You don't know what the other team is doing. And you always have instigators on the other team saying, oh man, we don't have to do that. They do have to do that. They're just telling that to you so that you can be frustrated, because they like seeing you get fired up for reasons. Who knows? So again, if you really want to jump ship and go to another team, I will tell you, majority of the time you're going to regret it down the road, or you're going to say that was a dumb plan, a dumb idea. So evaluate the situation. Look at what value you are providing. Are you completing things that you're supposed to be doing? Are you doing more than you're supposed to be doing? Because really, you should be providing more, because I'm sure they're paying you an ample salary. So look at the leadership's point of view, how they are doing things. Look at the other team to see if they really are having it much easier, doing less work, getting paid more money, and evaluate that. So before you go putting yourself in a hole and causing problems and possibly could end up losing a position, don't be hasty to make a decision. Evaluate things and take another look at it, because I will tell you, majority of the time, it's you and not your leadership, and it's not the other team. So do yourself a favor, evaluate it before you try jumping ship, because like I said, everybody's done it. I've done it, and I've regretted it, and it happens. So learn from others. Don't make mistakes that other people have done before you. So if you have any more questions on that, you need more definitive guidance, please reach out. I don't mind at all. The other question I got was, I'm in charge of 5 people in my team, and 2 of them can never meet deadlines. Well, everybody is different. So when people aren't meeting deadlines, there is a reason for it. So it could be you, the leader. Maybe you're not giving clear guidance. Maybe you're not taking the bandwidth of the individual that you have working for you, and they actually can't do as much as you're giving them. Majority of the time, that's not the case, but it does happen in a rarity, and you have to take a look at it, because if you don't, you're not valuing your employees. There's ways to fix that, though. Is look at the workload you're giving them within the time frame. Give them clear guidance, give them clear objectives, and give them a clear timeline to have things done. And then evaluate them. Keep an eye on what's going on, because sometimes they might be on their cell phones too much. They might be doing social media too much. They might be reading emails too many times a day, and that's all they do. They could have their email up on their computer, and every time a ding comes in, they have to stop what they're doing. And we all know distractions cost us a lot of time in the day. They do to me. That's why I have to turn my phone off for a block time. And I can't have distractions, because I will veer off from my actual plan work time. So you have to look at the individuals. You have to evaluate the individuals. And like I say, if you give them clear guidance, clear goals, objectives, and a timeline, and evaluate them while they're doing it, you should see where the fault is. Sometimes you hire somebody that just is not the fit in your team. Uh, you might have been in a hurry to hire somebody and you hired someone that you thought could do the work and the workload and they had the competence to do that. That's not always the case. Sometimes we hire people that really can't do anything uh, according to what their resume says and what they briefed in their interview. So if you have 2 out of your 5 that aren't meeting your timelines, I, it's not you, I would say, because if the other 3 are meeting the timelines, then obviously you're putting out the correct information and giving the right guidance and standards and everything. So evaluate those people and see where the fault is. Like I said, it could be a number of things. They might not have the bandwidth to be able to do the project. They might not have, an actual time sensitive bones in their body. I mean, it can happen. People just don't care about time. And in a work environment, we do. We have deadlines. We work for a company, and the company is for profit. It's not for them to sit there and get paid to do nothing or not do their job in a timely manner. So, like I said, the best advice I can give you is look at them, see what their workload is, talk to them, understand the bandwidth that they have, and then reassign them different projects with reasonable time limits on and see if they can do them. Because I'll tell you, distractions today are killing the work environment. There's just way too many. We have too many training meetings. And half of them aren't needed. We have too many emails coming in, and we feel that we have to keep that email up all day long because Lord knows we might miss something. Really, they should only have to check email 2 or 3 times a day at the most. If it's that important, somebody needs to go tell them, physically tell them, because that's what importance is going over there and letting them know. So, like I said, it could be their work ethic. It could be so many other things, but you have to take the time as a leader to evaluate what you're giving them and then put it in a time frame that they can do it. Give them something they can do within a reasonable time frame, and it could be 4 or 5 things a day. But make sure that they do them and that they can do them. Then when you're done with your evaluation, you know if someone needs to be counseled on their work ethics, their distractions, their bandwidth of what they can and can't do. Those are the things you have to do as a leader, and it's tough because you might have to let someone go, and it really messes up the train if you have to let someone go. But remember, also as a leader, when you get that assessment done, it's your job to train them. You have to let them be aware of what you see and what they're doing, because a lot of people might not understand what they're doing. So as a leader, you have to make sure you give clear, concise guidance, give a reasonable time frame to get it done, and then evaluate them. And then if they're not meeting that timeline and you find that they're not using their time management very well and stuff like that, that's your job as a leader to do corrective training. And when I say corrective training, is that's your job to train them in the faults that they have. First of all, it teaches them. It lets them know that you've evaluated them and you found these faults, and it's also a record. It's also on record in their employment, and I think that will take care of everything. So that's what I recommend you do, because there's just people out there that can't do every job in the world. There's people out there that are distracted. We all get distracted, and the time goes by without us even realizing it. So that's my suggestion. If you need any more guidance on that, also, if I wasn't clear enough on how to effectively kind of fix that problem, like I said, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, Gary at GarySilverthorn.com. You can also go to GarySilverthorn.com and book a meeting, and I'll be glad to discuss it with you in the time frame. I appreciate everybody listening today. Like I said, if you have questions, please email me, Gary at GarySilverthorn.com, or leave a question in the comments below. Also, it really helps me out if you like and subscribe. That way you don't miss these every week. And I want everybody to have a great weekend. All right, thanks, and hats off to y'all. All right, bye.